Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, the 27th of May. I'm Daldami. This is Yeah Alright News on Yeah Alright TV. Now, there's now over 45,000 deaths from coronavirus in the UK in under 3 months. Yeah? The government instructions during lockdown was don't fucking go anywhere. Don't see family or friends. Anyone caught anywhere without a valid reason would be fined. And subsequently, thousands of people have been fined for breaching these lockdown rules, including parents visiting their parents for childcare and through concerns for their well-being. Both in Scotland and Northern Ireland, leading scientists or medical officers or whatever who have been advising the governments of their countries resigned for breaching lockdown rules, because you've got to practice what you preach. You know what I'm saying? Now, the lockdown rules now for nearly 3 months. People have not visited their parents, their family, or their friends. People have died in hospitals without families around them. Over 45,000 funerals in under 3 months where family have been unable to say goodbye and mourn properly. Now let that sink in for a minute. Now we come to Dominic the Fudu Cummings. He travelled 260 miles in the height of this pandemic, which was right at the end of March, to visit his parents and arrange childcare for his 4-year-old, should he or his partner get ill, as this was when Boris first went into hospital and he'd been with him and he was starting to show symptoms, so he shit it. What a mate. So, we think, and the government is making us believe, that he did what any parent would do in this situation. Wait. Hang on a fucking minute. Fuddy there. Firstly, who is Dominic Cummings? He's a chief advisor to Boris Johnson. So everything Boris does, yeah, he advises him. He tells him, yo man, I advise you to do this, I advise you to do that. He advised him on the election and everything, and he's been a great success for Boris Johnson. So that's who he is. Then while he's in Durham, he goes on a 60-mile round trip visit to visit Bernard Castle with his family. Reason, poor eyesight. So he goes, my eyes were a bit dodgy. I needed to find out if I was alright to drive back to London. So I thought, let's throw the family in, throw the kids in, and let's go for a 60-mile round trip and see if my eyes are alright. You don't put your family in the fucking car and strap them in if your eyes are fucked. You get the wife to drive, and she says to you, can you see... In fact, why didn't she drive? Fuck the young. Anyway. And finally, at his press conference, he doesn't apologise at all to anyone and defends his actions. He goes, no, mate, I did nothing wrong, you know what I mean? And then the government backs the twat. Over 40 Tory MPs want him out. And over 70% of the UK public say he should be sacked. But he hasn't. Why? This is why. Because Boris Johnson knows, he's thinking, if I don't sack Dominic Cummings, I will look like a hypocrite and I won't be a popular or able Prime Minister anymore. If Boris does sack Cummings, he will have no one to tell him what to do and he won't be a popular or able Prime Minister anymore, basically. So now the government is trying to deflect attention away by trying to put us on a guilt trip for continuing to seek answers to this while people are dying, and they're saying, nah mate, look, we've got more important things, why'd you keep dwelling on it? We're dwelling on it because you're not practicing what you preach. Fuddy yon. Oh! Now let's destroy Dominic the Twat Cummings a bit more. Ready? After Boris Johnson says Dominic Cummings followed the instincts of every father, dads across the UK try to remember when they put an unspecified number of people at risk by breaking lockdown rules and travelling 260 miles to fucking Durham. There are live scenes as Dominic Cummings pops out for his local paper. And the government confirms that anyone caught out during lockdown can now apply for a refund under the new law of comings and goings. There is a new t-shirt released, has quickly become the must-buy fashion accessory this summer. And as Dominic Cummings is in trouble for travelling 260 miles during lockdown, in Scotland the Proclaimers admit to walking double that fucking twice. Know what I mean? It's time to move on. says the government that's worked harder to safeguard one man's job in 4 fucking days than it has to protect frontline workers and care home residents in 3 fucking months. Not on me. And also, Dominic Cummings' press conference went really well, says Prince Andrew. And finally, the government says it remains focused on keeping the R rate down, particularly where the R stands for resignation. Wankers. Now for today's other news. As Richard Branson reiterates the need for a multi-million-pound bailout, he is told it's verging on the ridiculous. And kids across the UK prepare for school in June as social distancing is introduced. As the Queen urges Britons to take pride in their response to COVID-19 and hails their quiet, good-humoured resolve, Donald Trump urges Americans to go out and buy a fucking gun. He's still a fuddle. Not on me. Summer is confirmed as detectives find another clue in solving the Madeleine McCann case and fuck off to Portugal for 3 months. Sorry. Captain Tom's promotion for Colonel on his 100th birthday hits a sour note as he's deployed to Helmand in Afghanistan. Not on me. And there is uproar in Sudan as an imam is caught on CCTV having sex with a 9-year-old girl. The girl is due to be stoned on Sunday for cheating on her husband. The Oxford English Dictionary has changed its definition of the word key worker. It now reads, a person who is overworked, undervalued, until the shit hits the fucking fan. No, I'm saying. 150 Romanians have been flown into the country to harvest crops because Brits won't do the work. The 3 million hard-working Eastern Europeans who settled here in the past 10 years must have fucked off when we weren't looking, you know what I mean? And as India's ISRO Chandrayaan-2 moonlander crashes into the surface of the moon as mission control loses contact, the rest of the world wonders if maybe Narendra Modi should focus on India's poverty, illiteracy, terrorism, corruption, overpopulation and child marriage before fucking up his moon landing. Fuddy that. And Donald Trump's border wall holds firm as millions of illegal immigrants clamber to seek refuge and a better life back in fucking Mexico. And there's finally some good news for the destitute, impoverished, bereft and homeless. Wetherspoons is open in about another 3 weeks. You know what I mean? That, folks, was the news. Now this week we have given the Yeah Right TV presenters some time off. So let's see what they've been up to, because they've been sending me loads of pictures from while they're on holiday. You get me? Check this out. Killed it. Now we'll catch up on the sport. Bayern Munich look odds on to win the Bundesliga with a 7-point lead and 6 games to go after dealing with Dortmund 0-1. And that was today's sport. Now the weather. The weather's quality all week, but don't be a fuddle. Stay at home, because parks and beaches are full of fuddles. And a second wave of COVID-19 is a worrying thought. And the more we see of people not social distancing, the more likely it becomes. Now shout outs. Big shout out to the Bungalow Boys in Binley, Coventry. Big up! Jagajat would like to shout out his best bro, Lalaji. He will find your toe, bro, he said. Big up to the old school shrubbies. Leroy would like to shout out the Bussy boys at the Devonshire Chippy in Sheffield. He goes, the food is killed it. And all the happy customers at United Repairs would like to give a big shout out to the owner, Ami Verdi, for the quality and price of his work. And finally, Paddy McDougall would like to shout out his half Irish, half Chinese new best friend in Baltimore, Pat Noodle. That was today's Yeah Right news. I'm Dowd Army. This news is finished. Wait for Friday's news. Yeah Right.